Welcome back to the Scaredy Cat Guide, my friends. My name is Ginny, and today we are talking about the Barnstormer in Disney's Magic Kingdom. If you're new here, this is the channel where we talk about theme parks and anxiety. We talk about sensory issues and really just anything that you might want to know if you're an anxious rider like I am. Now, the Barnstormer is really the only true kiddie coaster in all of Walt Disney World. It's super fun, it's cute, but it's a little bit rougher than you might anticipate. Even though it is marketed towards kids for sure, there are definitely a few things that you might want to know if you're anxious like I am. So without further ado, let's dive into those details. This little coaster contains high speeds, a rough ride system, and of course, its fair share of twists, turns, and drops. Now let's start off by talking about that speed. So the Barnstormer actually has a top speed of 25 miles per hour. Now this is 10 miles per hour slower than Seven Dwarfs Mine Train right across the park, which to me is definitely the next step up in intensity. What's even crazier than that, however, is that it's almost the exact same speed as Space Mountain. Now, of course, Space Mountain is way more intense for a myriad of other reasons, but when it comes to the actual speed, it's very on par with what you'll find here on the Barnstormer. Now, aside from these pretty typical roller coaster speeds, we also have the typical twists, turns, and drops that again is very on par with something like Thunder Mountain or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, just on a smaller scale. Like I said, this definitely is marketed as more of a kiddie coaster. It's a lot shorter, it's a lot more mild just overall, and even though Thunder Mountain and Seven Dwarfs Mine Train aren't terribly intense either, this one is just one step down from that. Now let's talk about that rough ride system. Now, of course, this is an older attraction that opened in 1996, so it is just a couple of years younger than I am. Now, on top of its age, causing some rickety movements and just a lot of bumps along the way, we also need to take into account the hard plastic seats that are molded to look like upholstered cushions, but they really are just hard, bumpy ridges that don't feel so nice compared to the newer, more comfortable attractions. I've had a couple of people joke about needing a chiropractor after this ride, and I completely understand why. Not only is it rough and rickety, but you've also got that hard seat that really does not help matters. Now let's talk about those ride vehicles. Now what we have here is an 8-car train seating 2 passengers per car. Now we have a shared lap bar here that is very standard with the other coasters you might find in the park. And of course, where you sit on the train can make a slight difference on how intense your ride is. Like with all the other coasters we've talked about, if you sit at the back of the train, you're in for a little bit of a more whippy ride. It might feel a little bit faster going around these turns or going down the drop. And even though it certainly doesn't make it an intense ride overall, just be prepared that it can up the intensity by just a little bit. Now, when it comes to the ride duration, the Barnstormer clocks in at a whopping 55 seconds long. Now, what's crazier than that is the coaster itself is only 40 seconds long if you don't include the 15-second lift at the beginning of the ride. So this, of course, is very, very quick. It will be over before you know it, and honestly, for a lot of people, it makes this attraction not really worth waiting in line for too terribly long because you're on and off of it very quickly. And now that you have all the facts, let's actually go hop in line. Now this is sitting at around a 25-minute wait, and it's a very busy day today, so this might be a good one if you don't want to wait in line for a super long time, but regardless, let's go get on this together. You'll find the entrance to this attraction in the Storybook Circus section of Magic Kingdom. Now, the thing about this queue is that it is entirely outdoors. You will see some fans, and there's a little bit of light cover from the sun, but overall, it can definitely be a pretty warm experience if you're here in the summertime, or if the line is particularly long. Now, once you enter the line, you will just wind around on the outside of this attraction. You'll get to have a great view of the coaster as you make your way around, and eventually you'll get to the boarding station where a cast member will direct you onto the ride. Now, once you board, it is also a very straightforward little coaster in which you go up the lift and then just find yourself simply twisting and turning for the next 40 seconds until the ride comes to an end. Now, of course, the track itself is very rough and might even be more intense than the actual maneuvers. But all in all, it's a very basic, very simple little kiddie coaster, and it'll be over in just a matter of seconds. And once this ride does come to an end, you will just pull into the station, the lap bar will come up, and a cast member will direct you towards the exit. Now exiting is very, very simple. You'll just follow this little walkway until you end up right back out into Storybook Circus. And there we have it. What do you think about the Barnstormer? Overall, I would definitely recommend this attraction as a first coaster of sorts. It was my very first coaster when I was a little kid. It's short, it's sweet, and very mild in the thrills department. Now, that is not to say, of course, that everyone will enjoy this ride. And if you or your little one don't really care for thrill rides, this one just might not be for you. Though it's definitely less intense than the other coasters in the parks, it does involve some high speeds and definitely whips you around a little bit, so proceed with caution. However, if you're wanting to get started with thrill rides, this is a great one for you to try. Even if you don't love those thrill elements, it's over before you know it, and you can easily just move on with your day without having to worry about motion sickness or anything that you might encounter with some more intense rides. But I would love to know what you think, so let me know in the comments below. Now, as always, if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more like it, don't forget to like, subscribe, stick around, stay a while. We would love to have you in our little community of anxious riders. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one.